perfect. Boxing just can't get any better. So I started training, and originally it was just to get back in shape the way I used to be always, and kind of put myself on the right track with that. But once I was in 4 or 5 times a week, it's gotten to a point where I kind of want to take it farther and see if there's anything I can do with it and get into competition again and stuff like that. And I think when you kind of grow up doing that on a regular basis, you sort of are conditioned that way, and you miss it a lot. It would be tough for me to go right now, without having that structure and that ability to compete. So.
That's great. That's great. Now, like with you guys, do you, especially Wayne, let me ask you this. Either one of them now, they know who they're fighting. Do you guys do some scouting on these guys that they're fighting against? And how do you approach it from that? While they're training for their part of it, you're busy probably getting ready to, scout these guys out, see what they're about and all this. Now, how do you go about doing that?
Well, we always look at who we're going to fight. In Manny's case, the guy he's fighting is Eric Clinton out of Tallahassee, Florida. We got on the computer and we were able to watch his last pro fight. So Manny and I sat together, we watched it, and I looked at his tendencies. And here again, I looked to see what the guy's weaknesses are. I passed him on to Manny, and then we devised a strategy of how we're going to fight this guy. In Aleksandra's case, her opponent, she's quite familiar with. She fought her 4 times in the amateurs. And the girl was a real terror in the amateurs. And they had 4 fights, and Aleksandra's won 3 out of 4.
Wow.
So her pro debut, and this is who she's fighting against. So she knows pretty much what she has to do. And what we've done together is worked at getting her real good sparring, like with a similar style, so she'll know how to deal with it. And we got to travel, like we go to Manfredo's gym, we go to Eddie Bishop's gym, we go to different places to get. It's the sparring that's really the key to get these guys, really sharp and ready, and good competitive sparring with people that, like, she spouses Adi Irizarry, who is a pro and is 6-2, has more fights. Manny's been working with Jason Pius, who's also on the Memorial Hall card. Jason's got like 24 pro fights and a ton of amateur fights.
I saw that, yeah.
So that's good sparring for him too. You want better sparring, so when you get into the fight, you're not going to see anything you haven't been prepared for.
That's really, I think, as close as you can get to kind of creating that that feeling of being in a fight. It's just to get very competitive sparring.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I would think that would be the best way to do it. I mean, just to go out and work out is important to get that, momentum and get that, be in shape and everything, but yet, it's important that you feel like you're in the ring and in competition, which goes to this. Now, do you guys ask, in your case, do you ask your sparring partner there, Jason, tips and stuff like this, if he's, to see if he sees anything that, maybe you don't see, or just that from his own experience as a boxer, perspective?
Yeah, I every time after I get done sparring, like, he's, experienced and had a lot more fights than me and stuff, so I'll say, hey, Jason, what am I doing wrong? What can I do better? Stuff like that. And he's a super nice guy too, so he'll give me the input and stuff like that. And you always ask. Looking at it from like a different, set of eyes, you always can learn something too. You never get to a point where you think you know everything, because someone may see something different than the way you see it. So I always ask input from everyone. I don't think I can never learn enough. So.
Now, what do? You're in a fight. Manny's having, or Alexandria in this. Although she doesn't sound like she's had too many cases where she's run into any problems, but they run into a problem, and maybe some boxer shows you something that you didn't see in the clips. Boxing is just like any sport. I think you guys would agree. There's adjustments. How do you guys go about with adjustments?
I think that's a huge one. I think that's what you learn in sparring, because you have that minute in between the rounds to listen to your corner that picks up on what readjustments you need to make, and you need to learn how to hear them and implement them. And that's been key for me actually in this last recent sparring sessions, because I had a lot of trouble with that. I have trouble sometimes implementing, because minute isn't really that long and your head is kind of all over the place. The fight occurs to you as very fast. And I think that's, that comes from your training, being able to really focus your energy and hear what's being said and actually go out and implement it. And you have to really rely on repetition and things you've learned in the gym, because no matter, even if you were fighting somebody who's, you watched on TV or you even fought them before, every fight is different and they're never going to come to the table with exactly the same deal. It's always going to be a little bit different, and you're going to encounter different challenges. So,
like pace, for example, obviously you want to try to set the pace and not the opponent, but obviously that doesn't always work that way. So how do you adjust to that? Because that can throw you off too. I mean, if you're supposed to go 12 rounds and you're tired after the fourth, I mean, how do you go about trying to slow it down and approach it to slow things down, or just to bring it back towards your game instead of their game? Because that's part of what's going on out there. Both sides are trying to apply their game, their styles, and set the pace and the momentum.
What I do as a trainer, I'll watch. I really won't watch to see what they're doing so much. I watch the opponent. They'll come back. I get 30 seconds where I'll have their ear. She comes back breathing heavy and a little wound up. So I give her water, let her catch her breath, and then I say, all right, this is what you need to do. This is what she's open for. Now with Manny, he'll come back, same thing, and he needs his water. When they calm down, you have about a 30-second maybe window till you got to give them a bullet point of what they need to do. I'm watching the opponent to see what he's doing, and then you pass it on to them, and then they go out and implement it. And as far as controlling the pace, it's kind of I always, with him, we'll go out first round, he goes out, you put something hard on the opponent just to put him on notice right away, and then he steps back, boxes, and tries to pick him apart.
I think a lot of it is mental too, and it goes back to your actual training in the gym. You always going to come back and feel tired the first couple rounds just because your nerves are pumping and you just got into a fight, so it's really hard to be very cool and chill out there. And I think that a big thing for me was to realize that this is normal and this is exactly what's going to happen. So what I need to do is just accept it for what it is and kind of calm myself down and rely on my conditioning, knowing that the conditioning is there to go as many rounds as I need to, even if it feels like it isn't after the first round. And once your nerves calm down and you kind of catch your breath, it all gets put into perspective a little bit, and it's easier to make those readjustments. But a lot of it is mental. You just got to know that it's there, you got to focus on it, and let your conditioning and training take over a little bit.
Now, what about you're going into a match and everything, and an injury or something comes, or something to that effect. You get a shot that really hurts. How do you go about trying to, keep yourself concentrated, not lose momentum, not lose focus? I think that's the biggest thing, is focus. I can see easily you losing focus. How do you maintain that focus in that situation? You're hurting, the time is ticking, maybe somebody's ahead of you guys in points or something, and I mean, come